Welcome to ZOOMERTIMES TV. And here's your host, Anita Finley.
Hello, everybody. I'm Anita Finley, and I love to be the host of this ZOOMERTIMES TV because I have the greatest interviewees. And today, I have an author who's also a graphic designer. And you may remember, we actually featured her book as a book of the month, The Girl Who Sings the Alphabet Backwards. I'm going to show you this cover. And we had her on, and her name is Paulee Bowin, Bowin. And Paulee she's really an amazing woman because she thinks of things and then she writes a book about it and then she puts pictures with it. So we did talk about The Girl Who Sings the Alphabet Backwards. That's how I met her first. And it's a wonderful book, especially if you have kids, you'll just love that. And you can always get her books on Amazon.com. Correct, Bowie?
Correct.
I mean,
Yes.
correct. I'm sorry. Correct, Paulee. Right. So, Paulee, I know that you don't let any time run through your fingers. You're always writing something. Tell us about some of the books that we'll be featuring very shortly in Boomer Times.
Well, one of them is called Love Me for Who I Am, and it's from the perspective of a cat that I had. So that ought to be a lot of fun. I'm excited about that one. And then I did a collaboration with a 5th grade class. So a book is coming out of that one. It's a longer book, and it's probably going to be a series, and it's called Fairies Aventaria.
Yes, and when I heard that word, Fairies Aventaria, I didn't know what that was, but why did you tell everybody about that? Because most people, I don't think, would know.
Well, Antares actually is the closest star to the Earth, and it's kind of a reddish color. So I was talking to a girlfriend of mine about the book, the collaboration with the kids, and trying to figure out what we should call it. And she told me about this star. And so I thought, hey, I'm going to play on the name of it a little and call it Fairies Aventaria instead of Antares. So.
Right, that's great. And most people won't know about it. It's probably going to be good for adults and not only kids. But how do you collaborate with kids in school? Tell us how you do that.
Well, this was really interesting. A friend of mine referred me to a teacher in Kansas. That's where we're from originally. And so I read Alphabet Backwards by Zoom to this class of children. There's 35 of them or so. And they loved it. And so then teachers and I came up with an idea of a collaboration book to where we give the children an idea or a premise, and then they all write their own version of the story. And so we came up with, there's this magical, powerful egg, and a fairy was in charge of it and lost it. And so they came back with the most amazing stories. I had so many versions of how the story could go, and names of characters and crazy creatures. And so what I did, because I used to write about fairies as a child too, so I took some of my ideas. I took something from every child in the class and made this book. It's 16 chapters, might end up being more, but then I read them the rough draft. I'm going to perfect it some more before school is out, and they loved it. They said that's their new favorite book. So I'm excited to get that one published. Yeah.
You know, you're amazing. You just can go right over that, but that took a lot because to go with a class. And how old were those children?
11 and 12. Yeah, 5th graders, so 11.
Have you been a teacher? How did you come to work with the kids like this?
My friend that I grew up with, we've known each other since, I don't know, way back, but since we were 11, she just suggested I read books to this class. And so I did. And then that's how that happened.
Well, but it's not easy to get them all quiet, but if you're interesting enough, they will, and they'll be interested in what you're saying and doing. And of course, I don't know how you're going to do this, but when you get all those chapters, will you name some of the kids?
Yes, I'm working on having all their names, at least first names, in the front of the book, right, as contributors, because everybody, even if they submitted a crazy story, then I took one piece or I named a character after them, and so everybody's included.
I can't get over it. That's so lovely. It's funny. authors spend a lot of time alone at their computer, and as they do it. But you don't. You really use the people in your books, like the cat. Let's go back to the cat book, because I love that.
Okay.
The Love Me from Where. Tell us about your cat and how that all came about.
Well, when we moved to Florida, we had a couple plans on where we're going to live, and those fell through. So we ended up in hotels. So then we came across this little home in Palm Harbor, and the people were getting evicted, but they abandoned their beautiful white cat. And I'm telling you, white, long hair, looks like the Hello Kitty kitty, pink nose, perfect cat. And I'd never had cats myself. I'd always had dogs. So of course, I would never abandon a cat. I've rescued some, I just never kept them. But so we fed the cat, took her in, and I was always saying to her, "You're a cat. What am I supposed to do with you?" And she made herself very valuable very quickly, because we would get up for work at the same time. The alarm would go off every day. Well, it was a Saturday, no kidding. The alarm did not go off. So she jumped up and woke us up right on time. When she didn't hear it go off, within 5 minutes, she was waking us up. It was amazing. She did a lot of amazing things like that. So got very attached, promised her she'd never be abandoned. And we took her to another home, and it's not in the book, but there was a house fire. So this piece wasn't in the book, but I'll back up for a minute. So we had been taking care of her. One day, came home from work early at the first house, and the landlord had her in a cage in the back seat of her car. And we pulled up, and I said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "Well, we're taking her to live with 50 other cats in Rhode Island or some crazy place." I said, "No, you're not." I had that cat snatched out of that cage really fast,
Good.
and we kept her. And so so that was awesome. That's kind of the climax of the book, how that went with Love Me for Who I Am. So
But and you said her name, and it's an unusual name. It's Kaya.
That was the name she had, according to the neighborhood kids, before we found her, or before she was abandoned. But I was calling her stuff like Putty Cat and Puddin' and all kinds of stuff. And she was a great kitty. But the other thing is, from her perspective, is I made it to where she wished she could be a dog, so she was useful.
But she was useful.
She totally was the best cat ever. And but from the book's point of view, she's running through why she wishes she was a dog. And so I'm copyrighted, so nobody can steal it, but I'm so excited about the book. Yeah.
Oh, it sounds wonderful. And so you actually make a cat talk,
Yes.
in a sense. But I'm sure, I've often wondered about dogs and cats, and they can talk. I mean, in their brain, they're saying things. We just don't know what they're saying. Except
Absolutely.
They bark, they growl, they meow. Like my dog now is very quiet. It's a he. And he was playing around, making lots of noises, and now he's settled down, so I can keep him here. But so you really write about, no, not just this first animal one, the one you wrote about the girl who sings the alphabet backwards. Let's go back to that one, because I loved that book, the graphics and all. Why did you come up with that?
Well, I have a knack for saying the alphabet backward myself. And so I wanted to write a book. So the actual, I was writing it with the owl as the main character, because I had just lost my mom, and that was her favorite thing, is owls. So she had this huge collection of owls my whole life. And so that kind of represented her. So I named the owl Millie after my mom. And then I put the little girl who was a little odd, that could sing the alphabet backward, and put her in visiting the Gulf of Mexico, so that, and well, that's how her adventure started. And she ended up saving some sea turtles.
Yeah, no, it was beautiful at the end. The dolphins and all, you had a lot of the sea people, a lot of the sea animals in there. But how do you do the graphics? Is this a natural thing, or did you study that when you went to school?
I didn't study it. I just started drawing. And so most of that, I don't think that book has anything other than just my drawing. I don't think I added much computer anything to that. Not much anyway.
It's just all your drawings. I'll just show some people beautiful drawings. I mean,
thanks.
The graphics are are just so sweet. And see, the kids, here's the one with the dolphins, the kids will love that. See, that's it. You're really appealing to the children.
Thanks. Yeah, they like it. I mean, the characters aren't like drawn perfectly, but there's lots of colors and they can relate. And I had, when I was collaborating with that class recently, one of the girls said that she'd been drawing and then she went to the library and kind of compared her work to some of the books. And she said she needed to try again. And I said, well, you never quit trying. You just keep doing it. And, you know, and whatever you think is perfect, it doesn't have to be perfect. It really doesn't.
That's true. Let me tell everybody you're listening to this charming woman, Paulee Bowin, Bowin, and Paulee lives on the west coast of Florida. She wrote a book that we featured, The Girl Who Sings the Alphabet Backwards, but she's quite a writer and a graphic designer, and we have a couple of books will be coming. You're going to see them in Boomer Times. One is The Love Me for Who I Am, and the other one, Fairies Aventaria. And they'll all have the graphics in them that you did, won't they?
Right. Yep.
So, you know, thinking about all this, you now let's say you've probably finished with those two books. I mean, it's the ideas there and the ending, the plot. Now you said you have a lot of other books in your mind. What do you do? Just sit there, you watch TV? What do you do to get your ideas?
They just come in. It's strange where they come from. And, you know, I had done, and it was called Mermaid Logic, but I'm redoing the name and everything. And that just came from quotes that I would think would be helpful for people. So like one of them is, don't compare yourself to others, you're already an original. And
oh, I love that. That's fabulous. Maybe that's the name of your book, right?
I may change it and when I rework it. So I copyrighted everything. I did a whole book of quotes with mermaids. Like there's a mermaid with a name on each page, at least one mermaid. And so the quote comes from the mermaid. And my mom always said to me, some days you have to make your own sunshine. So I heard that growing up my whole life. And so there's a mermaid in there and her name is Sunday and she looks like sunshine. So that's a good one.
You know, well, Paulee, you do too. You look like sunshine. I mean,
thank you.
You know, not only your beautiful red hair, but you do. You smile. Whenever I talk to you on the phone, you're always very happy. You're just you're just a very, very beautiful inside and out. And so, do you have a family now? Your mom's gone, you said?
Mom's gone. Family is in Kansas. So yeah, my dad's been gone for a while. And so, yeah, it's a tough subject.
Yeah, of course it is. But they're in you. It's obvious that they left a big mark, especially your mom. I mean, so you're sharing that. And I think what I was going to tell you is kids today, they don't really, I think they're so overwhelmed with TV and all that. But for them to sit down with a book, it's so different. It's so important. And the thing that you did, the collaboration with those kids, you don't know how many kids you have affected who will be writing books also.
I hope so. And if, you know, one of the main things I was hoping is to get them thinking original thoughts. So not copying from anybody, but to actually think through something other than what they've seen. You know, we have all kinds of capacity to be original, I guess. And that's what I was hoping to inspire.
Yes, and are you going to be able to keep up with them? I hope you will, that you'll, of course, when the book comes out, you'll probably give everyone one.
Yep.
And then they will share it with their friends, I'm sure, and their families.
Right.
It's very smart that you do this. And I think it's a new way to inspire kids. I don't think kids are inspired enough today. Do you?
I don't. And another thing that I did to try to inspire them is I had them, if they liked drawing, not everybody in the class liked it, but I had them submit illustrations of their own. And so that's pretty cool. I'm going to feature those. If I don't use them in the main part of the book, I'm going to put them in the back of the book. Because one book I was making, I was actually putting bloopers of my own, like illustrations that didn't quite get it in the back just for fun. Right. You know, something that didn't look right, like the dolphin looked wrong, or, you know, something like that. So I'm going to, you know, add a little section for that.
You're very clever about that. I must say, and just want to look at something 1 second. When I did this other book, you didn't have a picture of yourself in this book.
Nope,
And
I didn't.
I hope you will do that in your books. You should have about the author, if I may suggest. You're so pretty. Put a picture of yourself and a little bit about you in the books. Because
Okay.
most of the books that that we feature have that. I know I had to get it from you personally, but I think it's important that people recognize you. That's why this interview is one of many we're going to do, is really important because these are books. They're just static. They sit on a desk somewhere or in a bookshelf. But you as the author need to make it come alive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're trying to do with you too, with our authors. We will be waiting for your book to feature it in our August issue, and it will be on the cover, everybody. So you will get to see this, and we think we know it's going to be. We're not sure if it's Love Me for Who I Am or Fairies Aventaria, but it'll be one of the two, right?
Yep.
And so tell us what your real your real passion in life is. And I love the fact that your mom influenced you so much and that she gave you all these great quotations. That's really important. And so tell us what your mission in life really is. Is it writing books for kids?
Well, I like to inspire people of all ages if possible. And that's part of the reason the mermaid book with the quotes was for ladies, and it's a journal style book so you can write down how you feel about things. So my thing, I feel like my purpose is from the hard times and things that I've been through, it's to help others see the light at the end of the tunnel and get through it because they can, and to not give up. It doesn't matter if you were turned down at 18 to be a model, you can still model at age 50 if you want.
True. That's true.
I mean, that's just one example.
Yeah, it's a good example. In this day and age, why? Is that something that happened to you?
Yes.
I knew that you'd be a model, but so you were turned down and now are you modeling?
I had been, I'm put it on hold for now, but I was turned down for being short. Okay. I was 5'3". And so then I did some leg modeling. So, because I had been a ballerina, so they liked taking pictures of my legs, but I was too short otherwise, right? So then last year I was in a runway fashion show. So that was really cool to be the oldest person on the runway, but nobody realized I was. So that was awesome. Yeah, it's fun.
So, ballet dancer. Oh, I didn't know that. Ballet's probably my favorite form of art. As a matter of fact, I always wanted to be a ballet dancer, but it didn't happen. And so I'll tell you a funny story that I saw an adult ballet class over the last couple of years. I said, oh, well, I'm going to go there. I just want to try. Unfortunately, I didn't go to a beginner ballet class, right?
Oh,
and I went to one that was really more advanced. And after 10 minutes, I said, I can't do this. And I dropped out.
oh.
But yeah, I know. Oh, but that was one of my little things. But I go to all the ballet I can. I do love it. So you were in ballet. That was your thing.
Yes, that's still, I think, my favorite form of art, actually. I did it. I performed for about 10 years. It was all I cared about, so I like the choreography. I like to choreograph. That's some strange way my brain works, is the choreography thing. And then, so I'd make up my own stories and my own moves to the stories and practice in my bedroom a lot.
So
and then plus I performed. Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for the ballet book. I'm going to get one of those.
Absolutely, yes.
Oh,
yes.
right. Oh, see, I learned so much about you today. This was great. Well, you have a ballet troupe probably in Tampa, but we have the Miami City Ballet down here, and it's fabulous.
I haven't seen that one. I'd love to.
Yeah, well, you can get online. Get online and put in Miami City Ballet, and you'll see some of their choreography and some of the things they do. It's a lot of balancing and a lot of things. So, oh, well, that's great. Because in Clearwater, I don't think there's a ballet troupe anywhere, is there?
The closest one, there's a really good Sarasota one.
Right.
And they did a really interesting, but I was impressed, the performance of a Nutcracker combined with Ringling. a few years ago, and that did my heart good. That was fantastic because, of course, I'm super, I don't want to say critical, but of when I see nutcrackers done, because I know how I like to see it done.
Right.
And so I was impressed by that production. So yeah.
Good. Yeah. So yeah, the Nutcracker, right? You never get tired of that. But
No.
anyway, so that's yeah. So I can see that ballet book now, and that doesn't have to be for kids. It could be for people like me, who always dreamt of being a ballet dancer.
Can be for anybody, everybody.
Yeah. Well, and I think the mermaid book will be great to have quotes,
Hmm.
and people be attracted to that. And I can see that you'll do great art for that also. This art that you do, is this done with an acrylic, or what do you do? I mean, you actually have it paintings?
I actually do a lot of gel pen, and I do some chalk, and I incorporate some acrylic paint in. So I do a variety to get different textures. And then I want to share one other quote from the mermaid book. And it's why seek approval from strangers when love is right beside you? And that's with everybody wanting all the likes and the everything, why do we need to have that approval instead of cultivating love that's right in our own home?
That's absolutely true. You're a philosopher. It's amazing. And I do attribute, it's funny, we look back and you can always tell what a mom did for somebody. And boy, your mom was really there for you. I don't know your dad, but I somehow I feel that your mother really did this. You have brothers and sisters?
I do. They're older. My brother's 7 years older and my sister's 18 years older. I was actually adopted as a baby. So that's a whole nother fun story. And
Oh,
that's
yes. Oh, listen, you've got to do something about adopted, because so many kids suffer with that, don't they?
they do. Yeah.
So they try to find their real parent, blah, 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 but the adopted person's the one that should get the credit for taking the baby, and it's even more special that your mother
Yeah, she
influenced.
deserves all the credit because she saved me as a baby. It's a kind of a sad story, but it's going to be an amazing story for adults because it'll start in the 1930s with her and her then best friend, who turned out to be my biological mom way later.
No
So it's
kidding.
midlife. Yeah, it was midlife. I was a midlife crisis baby, and I was a surprise, and I was almost an abortion, but it was before Roe versus Wade by a year or so. Um, my mom that raised me talked her out of committing suicide and said she'd take her baby. And so here I am.
Oh,
How many
my
years later?
Oh my goodness, Paulee, that's the book I am going to be waiting for. Well, that's going to be a lot more serious, and it's not going to be as lighthearted as everything else you're doing.
No, but it needs to be told, that whole story, because they grew up in the middle of Kansas in a small town. They lived through the Depression. They lived through World War II. They lived through their school burning down. They lived through a flood that killed some friends, and an amazing amount of, there's several other miracles in there that happened. So yeah, and it all leads up then. I think I'll end it with my birth, because I was just the end of it. They went through so much stuff,
Right, but look how you turned out. That's the best part about that. That you're filled with love and light. I see that as I'm talking to you, and that's what makes it so great. Well, I wish you lived closer here, that I could see you and be with you. But I'm with you in a different way, because I do. As I said, the only book I ever had from you, of course, was The Girl Who Sings the Alphabet Backwards, which was very unusual as it was. But now hearing about all these other things, as a matter of fact, I see a mermaid on the back here. You always had mermaids in your idea anyway, didn't you?
Yeah, I had to put a page in there. It was, the little girl says, maybe we'll see mermaids tonight.
Yeah, but the interesting thing, you also show turtles. And I had an author on who did he's actually a monk, and he did a whole thing on it's called Planet Turtle. And it's an amazing book. It talks about the turtles, and he chooses many of them, and he discusses. They talk with the author, and they talk about how how they're being abused. How it's really an environmental book. Also, it's really special. It had me in tears because you never think of a turtle, having feelings, and as it was being eaten, and it would talk about how that feels. I mean, I can't even tell you.
Oh, it's awful. Oh my gosh.
Well, but what he's doing is trying to make people aware of
They need to
turtles,
be aware, right?
and also of the environment, and what happens when the turtles go into the water and there are all these things there they shouldn't be there and all. Yeah, so I'm always dealing with very interesting authors. I think it makes a big effect on me also, as I read their book and talk with them. That's why the Zoomer Times has been great, because even though you can talk on the radio and people can hear it, seeing one another talking and seeing, you're so pretty and you have a beautiful smile and all, I think it makes a difference in having you describe your book. The one thing that let me ask you a question. Do you have the book with you, The Girl Who Sings Alphabet Backwards? Is it in front of you at all?
It's not in front of me, but
No, okay. The reason is, and we'll do it next time, I'd like to have the author read from their book something.
Oh, okay.
But you can't do it since you don't have anything. So, and I don't want to read it for you. It's the author reads it, and there's something that happens when an author reads the book. So we're just going to wait for your next book, and just know that we're going to find a page or something that you're going to read from your book. Unless there's something you want to read from now, it's okay with me. But I think we only have 2 minutes left. But what would you like to read? A minute?
Well, I was just thinking there's a page in the book where Paisley, the little girl, asks her mom if mermaids will be out tonight because they're going to go down on the beach and wait for the sea turtles to hatch. And then she ends up asking her mom or saying, "I wish I could be a mermaid." And her mom says, "Sweetheart, we all wish we could be mermaids." And I picked Sweetheart because that's what my mom always called me, and that's one of my favorite illustrations. You'll see the mermaids in the moonlight in the middle of the book, I think.
Yeah, so I was just looking for, but no, that's okay. I'll look after we hang up. But thank you for being with us, and we look forward to your being the book of the month in August, and whichever one that is. But we'll know shortly. So thank you so much, Paulee.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I'm so glad that we did this.
You too.